I'm just gonna briefly introduce yourselves, but maybe introduce yourselves by name. Just very short, your country that you come from, and then we'll hand it over. Perhaps what you can do is just say, what was the most impactful thing that you've used that training for? It's on.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Juma Kwame. I'm coming from Tanzania Network of People Using Drugs, TANPUD. And actually what I can say concerning the training that we had of the TOT, everybody's rights, everyone's rights, that was conducted by SAMPUD, is that it had a great impact over my country, where I could have been, I've gone back, I took the message how to, with my community, CSOs, how we can prepare the different roadmap for the advocacy programs that we needed to advocate. Since in Tanzania, we got a lot more to push in the concern of people using drugs, but also for the LGBTI plus community, as previously been evidenced a lot of crackdowns for the LGBTI community, which is also affecting for the people who are using drugs. And in that sense, what I can say as TANPUD, we don't want to leave anyone behind. We believe that all the key populations have to raise a voice for all of us. So, there being a lot of political statement, religious statement in terms of tradition or cultural issues concerning of the LGBTI community. But what we are doing on now on the ground, we are looking at avenues where we can advocate that to see these are human beings and that they have a concern as any human being they are having their human rights. And the problem is that people with drugs are, interchangeably in each every key population. You can find them in a sex worker, you can find them transgender, you can find them in the old LGBTI community. So when they affected the LGBTI plus communities, also the people in drugs also affected. So our way also for the ongoing issues is that we also we'll be able now also to have some legal scan project within PUD. This is to be coming up, and we believe that we'll be able to make a scan of the legal policies, laws, and they'll be able also to look at the targets which are the 630 targets, 10 targets, and see how be implemented in the countries, and see how as a standpoint can measure and make our government as an institution being committed to see that we meet these targets. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Rita Musa from Nigeria. So I'm just going to go straight to your question. First, the beautiful thing about the Global TOT was that it brought African countries together, and we're able to compare or see similarities and gaps in our harm reduction and human rights services. It also gave us an opportunity to learn about the Global Fund criteria for funding, talking about the 2021-2026. And we also talked about the Global AIDS strategy, which was an eye-opener for most of us, the 10-10-10, the 30-60-80. That was something for me. With all of that, I was able to, within the short period, I was like July also, in a short time, I'm currently interim committee, steering committee of the key population in Nigeria. I was able to bring that to the table, and then we're able to develop a position paper for key populations in Nigeria, which will be presented at the AGM in September. Also, the network of people who use drugs, JAN, recently had the shadow reports where we're trying to see how we can get that into the UPR and, eventually have that presented also at the assemblies come end of the year, beginning of next year. The training was really enlightening. We had the advocacy session where we look at the problem tree, right? And then we had to design a roadmap. It was so enlightening. And then the most beautiful part for me, let me round up, is the Mentimeter. that really is something that every trainer needs to know how to use, because it helps you get qualitative and quantitative assessment of your trainees. It does it all for you. You get to know the impact you're making. You're able to measure what level of understanding. Like, it's so beautiful. So I'm going to just stop there.
Thank you so much. My name is Class 20, and I'm from the South African Network of People Who Use Drugs. Your question, Andrew, one relates so much to me, but I will talk about the online drug decriminalizations that followed after the advocacy roadmap that Sanput was involved in. Which is, I spoke about it in the session earlier, but yeah, due to time, we were kind of like rushed. I don't know how much time I have now, because I can take until... Yeah, so following the roadmap, the advocacy roadmap, so what happened was Sanput saw an opportunity to further expand the understanding and the knowledge related to drug decriminalization in South Africa, and we invited 25 participants from across South Africa in all provinces to like participate in an online e-course that was developed or is still developed by IDPC. The course is still open, is free. Anyone can register and do the course, but then what we wanted to do was to contextualize it, bring it back to South Africa and make it understandable to our South African audience. So what happened after that, we had a 8-week reflection session where we invited those 25 participants, and we supported them to be able to access the e-course by providing some connectivity fee for them to be able to also attend the reflection session. And we invited also, in collaboration with IDPC, we invited Metal from the Fields of Green, we invited Sisonke, we invited, yes, we invited so many organizations. So we collaborated to make it work in South Africa and look at examples, like look at the road that Sisonke has gone so far to say, how can we learn from Sisonke decriminalization of sex work? How can we learn from other countries like Nigeria, where it was Maria who presented and like showed us the way, and yeah. So basically, that's what we did following the advocacy roadmap that was developed specifically for the South African audience.
So we've heard the use of the training and the skills to respond to crisis. We heard about the value of learning new skills, and also how we need to be innovative with using technology, contextualizing, and making things locally appropriate, and learning from our partners. So we'd like to now open it up to the audience for questions that you might have from either of our panelists, from their countries, their contexts, relating to the human rights training, to the decrim training, or anything that you've heard that you might want to ask them. So open it to the audience. Any questions? I don't know if there are any online. Did anyone send an online question? Someone did? Yes. Katleko? Please go ahead. Do you need a mic or just speak loudly? You're audible, yeah. Thank you.
So one thing that also between the learning and sharing that happens between us, Sisonke and Sanput, was also the integration of the sex workers charter into one of the documents that they also can be able to utilize in making sure, because we all are fighting for the cause for decriminalization of both sectors. And again, I remember in a meeting yesterday, I spoke about it to say we should also look into how, therefore, we take drug usage and we align it with, the country's NSP in making sure also we consider TB, we consider STI, we consider HIV, and that can only be obtained through consultation by the people, so that it must be an NSP that's going to be owned by drug users. I thank you. Clap for me, guys. How?
Other comments, thoughts, reflections? Thank you. Any closing remarks from anyone of yourselves? Like maybe one 10-second, 20-second tip or recommendation you'd like to give people?
Okay, thank you very much. My closing remarks was, first of all, I say thank you very much for listening. And what I can say is that we have to, the first thing you have to look more on seeing how people using drugs, funding issues, that we being able, the networks and the CSOs able to have the funding to implement their projects, as we see from the 68 community-led response. For example, as in Tanzania, we can see there are very limited CSOs with community-led are implementing those projects for the NSP project, also for the OST projects. From almost 10 CSOs, only 2 community-led are implementing those projects. But we're still pushing and advocating for the government and other international implementation partners to see how they can increase the funding for the community-led organizations. Thank you.
So highlighting the importance of community-led service delivery.
Well, mine will be an appreciation to input and very many partners we've been working with for always creating these spaces. And I'd hope that it continues. More opportunities are being made for more advocacy work. So far, you hear networks in African countries giving reports on how they are able to assess their government, how they are able to take their advocacies far, to the top, to the people who need who need this to be sensitized and then get all of this into the policies. So I just want to appreciate everybody and hope we keep doing this.
So it highlights a good return on investment. I think people have given very concrete examples of how they've actually in their countries made concrete differences. So a call for ongoing support. Thank you.
Yeah, mine is the emphasis on collaboration, because I came to a realization that no one owns any space. For example, we as people who use drugs are we're in a process and we're still trying to formalize the sector for people who use drugs, and you realize that we need partners, we need collaboration, and we need to strengthen those and ensure that no one is left behind.
Yes, so they've said it all, but I would just say from a very grassroots perspective that putting people first is the most important thing for people who use drugs. It means that understanding that the personal will always be political, and that if we focus on just the advocacy and not all the other enablers that allow people who use drugs to be effective advocates, then we are just going around in circles. So putting people first and this the best platform for it. So thanks, Andrew.
Great. Thank you very much. Can we give a last round of applause to the panel?